Vladimir II Yaroslavich was a Rus prince. He was Prince of Halych. He was profligate by nature. He lived a debauched life and was politically ineffectual, due to the strife between Vladimir and his step-brother, Oleg Yaroslavich, and to the interference of Prince Roman Mstislavich of Vladimir in Volhynia and King Beacut III of Hungary. His reign in Halych was characterized by troubles. Only the protection that his uncle, Prince Vsevolod III Yaroslavich of Vladimir gave him ensured political stability in Halych. Vladimir was the last male descendant of the first dynasty ruling in Halych, and therefore his death created a political vacuum. Early life. Vladimir was the sole legitimate son of Prince Yaroslav Volodymyrovich Osmomysl of Halych by his wife, Olga Yuryevna, a daughter of Grand Prince Yuri I Vladimirovich Dolgoruki of Kiev. In 1166, his father brought Boleslavia Sviatoslavna, a daughter of Prince Sviatoslav III Vsevolodovich of Chernigov, as wife for Vladimir. However, his father left his mother in 1172, and took a boyar's daughter, Nastaska, as his mistress. Vladimir and his mother fled to Poland, but the boyars rebelled and forced his father to reinstate his mother, and had Natashka burned as a witch. The boyars also placed Oleg Yaroslavich under lock and key. They also made Yaroslav Volodymyrovich promise to treat his wife with due respect and persuaded Olga Yuryevna and Vladimir to return. In 1173, Vladimir took his mother and his wife and fled from his father. They went to Prince Yaroslav II Izyaslavich of Lusk, but Yaroslav Volodymyrovich threatened to attack Yaroslav Izyaslavich if the latter did not evict his son. Yaroslav Izyaslavich therefore sent Vladimir and his family to Prince Mikhailo Yuryevich of Torchesk. Son after Sviatoslav III Vsevolodovich invited them to Chernigov with the intention of sending them to Prince Andrei Yuryevich Boglubsky of Vladimir, but he did not. Shortly afterwards, the Rostislavichi, who had seized Kiev and taken Grand Princes Vsevolod III Yuryevich and Yaropolk Rostislavich of Kiev, promised to release the two Grand Princes if Sviatoslav III Vsevolodovich would hand over to them Vladimir, whom they would return to Yaroslav Volodymyrovich in Halych. In 1184, Vladimir was again driven out of Halych by his father. He was harbored by his brother-in-law, Prince Igor Sviatoslavich of Putovl, who ignored the threat of Yaroslav Volodymyrovich's reprisals. Vladimir was reconciled with his father in 1186 by Igor Sviatoslavich. Igor Sviatoslavich dispatched his own son, Sviatoslav Igorovich, to escort Vladimir home. On October 1, 1187, Yaroslav Volodymyrovich died. His last wishes were to grant his illegitimate son, Oleg Yaroslavich, the rule of Halych and Peremyshal to Vladimir. The Galicians, however, deposed Oleg Yaroslavich, forcing him to seek help from Ryurik Rostislavich in Vruchi. Struggle for Halych. Vladimir lived a dissolute life. He drank to excess, ignored his counselors, forced himself on men's wives and daughters, and took to himself a priest's wife with whom he had two sons. Prince Roman Mstislavich of Vladimir in Volhynia, whose daughter was married to Vladimir's elder son, urged the Galicians to evict Vladimir and make him prince. But they failed either to expel Vladimir or to kill him. When, however, they threatened to kill his wife, Vladimir took her, his two sons and his družina and fled to King Beacut III of Hungary. A late chronicle reports that Vladimir was defeated by his step-brother Oleg Yaroslavich and his ally, Duke Casimir II of Poland. The townsmen, however, poisoned Oleg Yaroslavich and invited Roman Mstislavich to be the prince. King Beacute III marched against Roman Mstislavich intending to reinstate Vladimir, and Roman Mstislavich fled to his patrimony. But King Beacute III sent a message to Grand Prince Sviatoslav III Vsevolodovich of Kiev inviting him to send his son, Sviatoslav III Vsevolodovich, hoping the king would give his son Halych dispatched Gleb Sviatoslavich. Later Sviatoslav III Vsevolodovich agreed to attack the Hungarians together with his co-ruler Halych Rostislavich. Sviatoslav III Vsevolodovich even wanted Halych Rostislavich to take all of Halych and in exchange to hand over the Kievan lands to him. Meanwhile, however, King Beacute III, instead of handing over Halych to Vladimir as he had promised, gave it to his son Andrew. Vladimir and his wife were taken back to Hungary where they were incarcerated. At first Andrew tried to win the loyalty of his new subjects. However, after the attempt of a second cousin of Vladimir to enter Halych, the tenor of Hungarian rule changed for the worse. The Hungarians abused local women and stabled the horses in Orthodox churches. The Galicians were much aggrieved and regretted having expelled the prince. In 1189, Vladimir escaped from the Hungarians. He fled to Germany, asking Emperor Frederick Barbarossa for protection. Vladimir promised the emperor to pay him an annual tribute of 2,000 grivna if he were reinstated by the emperor's help on the Galician throne. The emperor recommended Vladimir to Duke Casimir II of Poland, who sent Polish troops to Halych to support the exiles' claim. When Vladimir arrived in Halych, the boyars welcomed him and drove out Prince Andrew, Prince of Halych. After occupying Halych in the early part of August, Vladimir requested his uncle Vsevolod III Yaroslavich of Vladimir in Susdalia to support his rule and, in return, promised to be Vsevolod Yaroslavich's loyal vassal. He wrote to Vsevolod III Yaroslavich, "My father and lord, help me to keep Galicia, and I shall be God's and thine with all Galicia, always obedient to thy will." Quote. Vsevolod III Yaroslavich therefore demanded that all the princes pledge not to challenge Vladimir. In the autumn of 1196, Grand Prince Halych Rostislavich of Kiev sent his nephew Prince Mstislav Mstislavich of Tripol to Vladimir instructing him to join Mstislav Mstislavich in attacking the lands of Prince Roman Mstislavich of Vladimir in Volhynia, who had attacked the domains of Halych Rostislavich's brother and son. Accordingly, Vladimir and Mstislav Mstislavich raised Roman Mstislavich's district around Peremil. Vladimir died in 1198 or 1199. With his death, the dynasty of Halych became defunct. Marriages and children. Number 1. Bolslava Sviatoslavna, a daughter of Prince Sviatoslav III Vsevolodovich of Chernigov by his unknown wife. Number 2. An unknown woman, who was a priest's wife at the time, Vasilko Vladimirovich. Vladimir Vladimirovich. Ancestors.